horse drifted alarmingly in the betting, was, fancied in the morning, continued to drift. It was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Burns.
The ground is soft. It's
heavy.
It's soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
And a huge warm welcome to the Barsters Inquiry Sunday Sermon. My name's Lee Keys of systembet.co.uk, and joining me as always is John Lang and Chris. But tonight we've got a very special guest. Very, very pleased to have him on. Gearoid Norris, or some of you will know him better as Icy Retro on Twitter, up to his mischievous ways and basically calling out racing's sort of like frailties, if you like, in such a savage way that it becomes extremely entertaining. Welcome, Gearoid.
Thanks, but if you want to be technically correct, I invited myself on the show.
Actually, yeah, he did. Fair play, yeah. So yeah, he did. I was surprised.
Well, when you ask, if you don't ask, you don't get, isn't it?
Absolutely. Thing is, I've always wanted Gearoid on the show because I think this could make for a corker, and I think what you sometimes wonder, like you say, I should have asked, but there we go. We've got him on, and so this should be a corker. So to start the show off, we're going to look at, obviously a lot of people will be looking at this weekend's action in terms of all the shenanigans that happened at Epsom, but nevertheless, we'll start for the purist, for the form book, we'll start with the purist, and we'll look at the two classics and the French Derby today. So we'll start with the Oaks, and obviously there was a lot of talk on Twitterati about how unlucky Emily Upjohn was. Some people thought that no, that wasn't the case, and Tuesday was a worthy winner, etc., etc. Anyone want to lead off here on the thoughts of the Oaks? Anything that sort of caught your eye, or what do you think? Emily Upjohn, an unlucky loser?
Well, I think one of the first things to look at is no appreciable rain, Midsummer Classic, and the coming stands fucking side again. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a disgrace. It is an absolute disgrace what that Clark is doing. We'll get onto him in a bit. But, I mean, did you think Emily Upjohn was unlucky, John?
Well, it made it pot luck, didn't it? Dettori didn't really know whether to stick or twist after he missed the kick. He ends up coming stand side. He's probably a little bit blindsided because I thought he was half taking a pole toe and half out because he thought he had everybody covered. Yeah. And then suddenly panic kicks in because he realises Aiden's Oss is about 3 clear on the other side. For me, she was the best horse, Emily. And despite the fact Tuesday's only just turned 3, I would always fancy Emily Upjohn to beat her in a rematch, I think. Yeah.
I mean, Gary, what would you say like for Tuesday? Because I mean, she improved really on what she'd done in the 2 Guineas for me. She was obviously slammed by Homeless Songs, beaten by Cachet in the English Guineas, but basically I thought the run in the Oaks was a much improved display. What would you say? What would you say about that?
I was disappointed with her with both her runs in the Guineas. I thought she was the Oaks winner after her maiden. But yeah, I did go off her. I just wonder, John, what you think of what Ryan Moore said after the race, where he basically said he always thought he was going to win. Now, if you want to make the case for Tuesday, Ryan Moore did come from far back from the low draw, and the Tory had plenty of time to go by her and couldn't go by. So look, obviously she was unlucky, but I just wonder, are people underrating Tuesday?
I can appreciate Ryan saying what he said, because at the end of the day, he wouldn't have had a clue where Emily Upjohn was. I mean, as far as Ryan was concerned, from his vantage point, he probably did think he was always going to win.
Yeah, and I did think he took a pull as well. Watching it live, don't know. I haven't watched it back to see if I was right or not, but did he look overconfident maybe?
I thought he rode a fairly conventional race, sat there like when the opportune moment arose, and went to win his race, went 2.5, 3 clear, and then, as I say, there was all this shenanigans going on down the other side of the track that he couldn't have been aware of. I mean, he couldn't have took any of that into account. I mean, he's rode to beat them on his extreme right, hasn't he? And done a good job of it. You know, I mean, you couldn't fault Ryan's ride, but as I said, Detari wasn't in the best of positions, possibly through no fault of his own. I mean, it'd certainly be interesting if they made up again.
Yeah, look, I mean, I probably jumped the gun a bit after the Oaks. I saw people saying that Tuesday was a worthy winner, and I thought, what are you on about? Like Emily Upjohn would have thrashed it. But then I have watched it back, and I think Emily Upjohn is the better filly. Yes, I do. At this moment, you know, bearing in mind, like you said, John, it's Tuesday's like third birth. You know, she could be just like improving massively.
I mean, that's the conventional way to think about it. But then again, you know, you take on board the fact that she's been mature enough to take in 3 classics in 6 weeks. How much more is to come? I mean, Aidan's a bit of a wizard with these fillies, isn't he? How we can get him to keep improving.
Well, it's Lily Langtry. It's a great line. Be no surprise if Tuesday just carries on improving, and makes my initial comments look stupid. Really, I mean, I did have a go at Laura King. I mean, Laura King, who's I think she's a Dubai sort of correspondent.
There's never not a reason to have a go at her. To be fair.
She's
yeah. If they'd swap her for Latifa, I mean, I'd pay good money for that.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't believe some of her tweets, to be honest. I mean, they literally are. I don't follow her or anything. It's just that they come up on my timeline when people are retweeting.
She's very on message, isn't she?
Yeah, this is a thing. I mean, this is why we started this podcast, because there's so many sort of like smoke blowing and like, oh, what a good horse, and you know, it's you know,
she's the definition of a shell now. Let's be fair.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, the one that I thought out of the Oaks might be worth like a stab later on in the season was Dead Walker's Kawida. I thought that ran perfectly well, and I sort of screamed sort of Park Hill filly, that kind of thing. John, did you see Kawida's finishing effort for Kirsten Rousing? She's got more money than everybody has, Kirsten Rousing.
Yeah, from milk cartons or something.
Yeah, Tetra Pak.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. She could probably blow Coolmore out of the water with what she's got, I reckon.
Got bundles, isn't she? Absolute bundle. She hasn't got a good hairdresser though, has she? That's all that money.
No. But Kawida, anyway, I thought was a potential Park Hill filly. Mile and 6.
He's next if he has any sense, eh?
Gold Trees filly, long straight, go with that. But anyway, no, it's interesting because I'll back down my statement on Emily Upjohn in terms of Tuesday, because I think people's got a point about Tuesday. I think this filly could definitely improve quite a lot this summer.
Is there a chance they won't meet again?
Yeah, there is that. Yeah, because Emily, do you know what? I've got a feeling Emily Upjohn might want, if I owned Emily Upjohn, I'd want to take advantage of the fillies allowance maybe and take on the boys, because some of the boys that, you know, like might not be as, you know, like barring Desert Crown, we could get onto that in a minute, but you know, some of the boys over the mile and a half might not be able to give her the mare's allowance as well. Interesting stuff. Okay, we'll come on to the Derby then. Desert Crown obviously was impressive. I was impressed. What are the panel's thoughts on the Derby this year?
Well, I thought as a sort of by far the least astute member of this little panel, I thought my view is that the winner was in a different parish, and I thought the rest behind, well, I think we're a load of old boats. I don't take out of there. You think, yeah, that's going to improve and something. I thought they would just look like plodders. I really did. And you could call the winner 4 furlongs out, swinging away, and the rest just seem to be going up and down on the spot. So I don't think anything behind is you could sort of mark up or improve. And I think Hornby's comments about the third, you know, I'd have won if that's just bollocks. You need to cut across the fucking middle, I think, to win that. Unbelievable. But I think it was said in the heat at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah, John, Gearoid?
I thought it was pretty hard to give the winner 120 plus sort of rating on what he's beat and how far he's beaten by. That's not to say he's not capable of a hell of a lot more than he showed yesterday.
Yeah.
I think, given different circumstances, I think the jockey would have held on to him a bit longer. And, I mean, if he'd unleashed him a furlong and a half out, I think he might have been absolutely devastating and gone 7 or 8 clear, to be honest.
I thought Harry Skelton was on it, actually. I thought he pressed the soon. I really did.
I think second Derby ride, he had to win one. I defy anybody to say they would have held on longer in the same situation. I mean, the lad's gone and put the Derby to bed, hasn't he? And rightly so. But I do think somebody with a bit more Derby experience and maybe a couple of Derbies under his belt would have held on that little bit longer and really pulverised them,
Before the race, if we were all honest, Richard Kingscote was a £6 penalty, wasn't he? Like, I know it's easy saying, "Oh, look, he gave it a great ride and everything, and he's rode a couple of winners today." But like, if you were a punter, you weren't worried about him riding that in that race. I think we're underestimating how bad he can be.
Oh, it was a massive concern. I mean, if he'd had a low draw, I'd have been worried sick.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and look, and to be fair to him, he did very well from the high draw. He didn't get behind. He got his position, and look, he won his race. But before the race, he was definitely worth half a point, I thought, on the price.
Yeah. I think that's right. I'm not sure he was. I mean, maybe I misread it. I mean, there were concerns, but yes, he can be rotten. But I'd been really surprised if he'd have screwed that up. So that wasn't a huge concern. But it's definitely worth half a point on the price because. Oh,
in hindsight, it didn't matter. It just didn't matter. Yeah.
Didn't matter. No, quite.
No, he got that Frankie position where that's exactly the spot. Any running players that play on the machine, must have been all over Desert Crown, I would think.
It didn't matter, but I mean, Ryan Moore gave Stone Age an absolute belter of a ride. He had the horse in an absolute perfect position, and look, the horse didn't stay or not good enough, whichever side you come down on. But I thought he'd get that a great ride. Yeah,
I was disappointed in Stone. I expected a lot more from Stone Age. I really did. I thought the trial was okay. I thought he's going to step forward from that. The form last year. Again, well, the one he had form with the French Derby, second El Bodygon, I suppose that's been put in its place today. But
I was watching him in the trial, last night. I thought, I'll have another look at this horse. He's got a fair old stride on him. I don't know whether he might not just have been terribly suited to the track either.
Well, possibly. I mean, this is the thing.
I didn't pick up on pre-race, it never entered my head, to be honest. It was just coming back and watching the trial.
Yeah, I mean, as the great Icy says, you can put your fucking models in the bin when it comes to analysing Epsom form and then trying to equate it elsewhere, because it is a.
Test of the thoroughbred. That's the phrase.
Yeah, I mean, Hu Yamal was second. I mean, that was entitled to improve for the 12. I think the criticism of that being there is a bit unfair, because that was entitled to improve the more distance it gets. I'm not saying it. I'm not after timing. That was going to run well. But there's always a second or a third in a derby. It seems to be sometimes where I can remember Terrymon, horses like that have just what the fuck, literally, that's what Epsom does. It's there's a lot of horses that won't act there. I think the Godolphin battalion kind of rolled around all down the hill. That Walker Stars, I mean, that I gave a chance to, because Kieran Fallon said it improved mentally and everything for Lingfield. That was lovely.
He seemed to have a mental meltdown, didn't he, after he got a bump after about 100 yards.
Might have been the fireworks.
Have you seen the breaking news, by the way, about the fireworks?
Oh, go on.
No, this was a certainty to happen, but it was just who would break the line first. So this is on the Racing Post now. It was a silly thing to do. Adam Kirby critical of pre-Derby fireworks. Nahani didn't appreciate it, and it didn't help him in the stalls either. So there you go. There's the first horse beaten by the fireworks out of the Derby.
But I mean, did we see that purse today from the fireworks?
Brilliant. That's the
I mean I thought that was you. I genuinely thought he's done this. He set one up right? And he's gone on the wind up here, right, straight away. And it wasn't because I said to the producer, I said, oh, look at this account, and she said, no, it's been there since 2019. Been there since 2019. The original account. How can you come out with that? Incredible, saying that we're all idiots. We don't know what we're doing. That fireworks don't scare animals. That's why every fireworks night we have in the UK, you've got dogs with radio listening to Led Zeppelin.
I think it's best summarised as how many fireworks have you ridden, basically.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Just astonishing. I mean, we've seen a special kind of stupid. He always seems to bring them out, like in the classics and the big races. Like some really dumb comments. But yeah, but in the Derby, yeah. So I agree a little bit. People, I mean, there'll be people listening to this now saying, "What about Westover? What about Westover?" Someone come with a great
Westover.
Someone come with a great comment there in retrospect to that. They said when Leicester said about when the owner complained at Leicester for one of his rides and said, why didn't you go through that gap? And he said the gap was going faster. I mean, I think that just, if that doesn't sum Westover up, I don't know what does. Listen, I'm not crabbing Westover. He's 5-2 for the Irish Derby, for God's sake. And I'm not saying he won't come out and win that and be a very smart horse over 1.4 miles. But for me, if you watch the Derby properly, he hasn't got the foot. He hasn't got the foot to do it. That's why he got hampered. If he's got the foot, he wouldn't have been in that position. He'd be where Desert Crown were, quickening up and running right to the line. Now it looks unlucky, and any form book student that'll think, oh, look how it's closing it down. It's motoring, but that's no good. The winner's just, if you run a slowly run race, then what's going to win Desert Crown or Westover? Desert Crown will just beat it for speed easily. So it's the superior horse. It's just the fact that Westover looked unlucky because obviously the gap closed.
What's the betting that Westover goes to the Curragh, Aidan runs 5, and Westover's knocking spots off Aidan's 2 pacemakers from the gun and empties out a furlong and a half out?
Well, I think that's it. I think I'd look at the win that day. The thing is with the Curragh, and just listen to the stand when it whistles. It's a good sound, and like if the wind's blowing there, the front end at the Curragh can hold up markedly. That's the problem with Westover. That if you get one of them days, the good old will kick one from the front. Might be Gearoid. It might be Waterville.
Yeah, but I think Unibet went 4s after the race, and like there was a couple of sharp guys on Twitter, and they thought it was a bet at 4s, 7-2. But like at 5-2, you're just gonna shrug your shoulders, aren't you? And going to go, yeah, fine. I mean the Curragh can be a brutal race, that Derby. I mean, because Ballydoyle was set an end-to-end gallop, so. Yeah, I don't know. Like at 5-2, yeah, I'm happy to let him go at that price anyway. That's for sure.
Agreed, totally agreed. It's one of those races where if Aidan, I mean, the sad thing for me this summer, and we are, it is building up nicely this summer. That we've got some really potentially amazing races to come. I'm just looking at the betting now, say for the Juddamont, and you've got Baid, Desert Crown, Bay Bridge, Native Trail. Mishriff. It's incredible what could happen this summer in terms of clashes.
Yeah, it is setting up nicely. It's there to happen, isn't it? If they can just make it happen.
Yeah, but I mean the one disappointing thing for me, because I absolutely love those, was Luxembourg, because I think he had a very hard race in the Guineas, and I think that's obviously why we haven't seen him at Epsom, because Christian Strangeway, who I talk to regularly, he said to me he thought that had a ridiculously hard race in the Guineas. They tried to win a Guineas with a horse really that's a 10-12 furlong horse this year, and I think that could have. I hope it hasn't, but that could have bottomed him. What do you think, Gearoid, to Luxembourg?
No, I wouldn't be too worried about him. So it's just hard to know where they'll decide to bring him back. I mean, they're not going to go for the Curragh, so. I mean, where did they bring him back? Did they run him over 10 in York or something? Or
well, that's it. I mean, I've not seen him in any lists. I've not seen him in any betting lists.
Yeah, it's just a question. Or did they bring him back for the King George? Or I don't know. I don't know.
So the winner, Desert Crown, then, right? We all own him. What are we campaigning in this year?
He goes for the Eclipse, surely.
I thought 10 furlongs. I do. I think it's better for breeding. I think it's better for. I do. I think the gimme those the King George. He's even money for the King George. He's not going to be even money for an Eclipse. I wouldn't have thought. They've got some decisions to make on that front. John, where are we at with Desert Crown?
I think it might depend on how Bay Bridge shapes up at Ascot, to be honest.
Well, they're not going to clash, are they?
Well, no, the might of the different owners. But I think in an ideal world, if Bay Bridge won the POW at Ascot, he'd go Eclipse.
Yeah.
And you'd have the Derby winner going King George. After that, maybe they might clash in the Judgment, because it would look a fairly obvious target for both, depending on how hard a race the Derby winner had in the King George, of course. That can kill your Judgment chances, that race, as is shown on many occasions. So it could go King George Irish champion, maybe.
Yeah, I do think they need to go 10, because if Saeed Sahel, I don't know the fella, but I like the fella in terms of what he's brought to racing. You know, he's not one of the big wigs, but he seems to get the odd nice horse here and there, and I hope they take the decision to go over 10. I think that would be better for the horse personally, because with the foot he's got, he doesn't need further. So that would be my take on that. Okay, we'll go to the French Derby, which was run this afternoon, and I don't think that's got the quality of anything what we've seen over this side of the pond. Thoughts?
We know it's impressive.
Yeah, I just thought William Buick, he just bet the house in the first furlong, didn't he? Trying to get across, and that was that, wasn't it?
Yeah, he basically Modern Games today has ran £10 below the winning race, the French the French Guineas. So basically we're seeing a race that's how I've rated him, because he wide draw, he was rushed up. He wasn't helped by the butchering from a horse that went right on his quarters and sort of forced the pace, and it just made him a little bit tired. The 18 millimeters of rain the night before didn't help either, and I did feel that was his undoing. Late in the day, he probably would prefer better ground. So it's amazing how when you get like form book companies, Racing Post, Time Form, they'll probably give it something stupid, the winner, when it's not. Modern Games has run well below form. Verdeni was impressive, but remember, Stall 2 won it, Stall 1 was second. Sean T is invariable for inside runs. You need a good trip, and I did feel that the first 2 had the maximum out of them that could possibly be done. So the one that I thought was eye-catching was Al Hakim of Qatar. That was very eye-catching. They had to drop that in. It was wide round the last bend, and it was the one catching, all the late run into fourth. That for me is as good as the winner, Al Hakim. So if you're going forwards and you're looking, to bet horses, I think Al Hakim just as good as Verdeni. I think that was the one to take out the race. Any other views?
No.
That sums up the French for you, right?
Okay.
Yeah, who cares? That's it. No one cares. No one actually cares. I agree. I've not cared since Celtic Swing won it, but then
the thing with French Derby winners is we don't see them until the autumn anyway, if they come over at all. So I don't think people worry too much about them.
No. So just ignore the last section. Fast forward on that one. Yeah, talking rubbish.
Well, fast forward now. They've already fucking listened to it.
Okay, that's true. Time machine.
Yeah, I get it. We're going to move on now to some subjects, and obviously we saw the best of British racing this week. I mean, this is why I think I like Ireland so much as well, because like Ireland don't give a fuck. The Gowran Park, they'll run a 2-mile hurdle in the winter at 1 minute and 10 seconds slow. Us over here, we're slipping on bends. We're abandoning meetings. We're setting off fireworks. Poor Will Buick gets one in the chops, and he's unconscious, laid on the stone, and they let the race go, saying "fuck him, he'll be all right." I mean, I don't know what to say. It literally is. It's a game run by complete idiots.
Do you know those cameras like that camera in the stall that caught the horse headbutting him?
Yeah.
I presume that's only there for big races, or is it there? Because I mean that's an amazing footage. I mean if that was in Windsor or something, I presume you'd never have seen that really, except from a distance.
I presume you're right. You'd have to go to the drone lads that are doing the in-running pics.
it kind of it's worse that everyone on ITV and Racing UK were able to see it. So, they really had nowhere to hide from it, did they?
No. That must have really hurt at BHA Towers, because for once in their lives, they'll have had to blame one of their own employees, which often is just not the case. It is literally everyone else's fault, barring...
I tell you what, I think Jason Hart deserves a nod for his gamesmanship, because, I mean, he saw full on what had happened, turned to check on Buick. You would have expected a cry of "No, sir, no, sir." But no, Jason thought, no, that's one I haven't got to fucking... And his left hand went back on the reins straight away, and he's set ready to go. He thought, fuck yeah, Will.
Yeah, Jason Hart went sport hurts.
Well, at least Will Buick can take a fucking shot. He hasn't got glass jaw, has he?
No, fair play. He might want to fight Paul Mulrennan in the boxing.
He was off the cameras, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I wonder, did the horse think he was James Doyle? The whole thing would have made more sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would have done.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, this is the thing that, like Icy's just said, that if the cameras hadn't have been there, right, they'd have made a whole cock and bull out of this. They would not have admitted blame for this. They'd have just said, "Oh, it's unfortunate, what could we do?" And because they've been caught red-handed, now they've actually got to be seen to be doing something, and he just highlights British racing. So that was the start of the day. Then it got even better. We had it was almost like I thought of the red arrows flying over, just as they're going down for the derby. An incredible moment where you heard these bangs, like big, and it's like, what the hell, if Epsom enough. I mean, seeing like comments on Twitter, like Christian Strangeway said next year they'll have they'll bring a bear into the parade ring, just
Did you see the Fergus O'Brien account's tweet where he said, we'll bring 10 fillies next year that are in season and bring them into the parade ring.
Yeah, bring them on parade. Yeah, just get all the colts at it.
Would test everything then, wouldn't it?
Just astonishing stuff. I mean, who thinks of this? But then we come back to the clerk of the course, Andrew Cooper, and what John said earlier on the show. The first day of a classic meeting, and they're all searching for the best ground. Now that tells you that something's horrifically wrong with the entire game. If you get a classic meeting and we know sometimes it's a bit unfortunate. You'll get big downpours, big thunderstorms, nothing you can do. I mean, we see like places like Gowran Park where you come stand side. If it's soft heavy, that's a gimme. We get it. But when you've got classic meetings, why are jockeys sort of like fanning out right across tracks? It's horrendous. It's a horrendous sport. Potentially, we're running classics on biased tracks, and I don't think that's right in any shape or form.
I said this back in March, Lee. You can no longer back a fast ground filly anti-post to the Oaks.
No.
It's simple as that.
Because of the clock.
You know that ground is going to be horrifically watered.
Yeah. He's got massive form for it. I mean, honestly, I don't get the media loving with him. Like you see, there's by the way, I respect Lydia Islop. I respect Nick Luck. I think they are two really good broadcasting journalists. They're very good at what they do. There's one thing though that really gets my goat the defense of him. Like they really do. Like, do you remember like Menuzzi when he said bullshit about watering and this, that, and the other, right?
He's the king on Twitter, isn't he?
Oh yeah. Well, they both like that. Nick Luck and Lydia liked his tweet. So what does that tell you? What hope have punters got? The fact that the two big media linchpins have decided to like Menuzzier's tweet, and that tells you all you need to know. They don't bet. They'll bet him too quick.
When conditions are like that, which jockey's judgment do you trust?
I think a jockey that walks. I mean, we had Stuart Williams on. Yeah, we had Stuart Williams on, and he makes. That was interesting the other week when Stuart Williams makes his jockeys walk the track. He makes them walk it. He makes it so basically they get there, you walk it. I want to know where the best place is to be, and I think that's tremendous because that is telling.
There's a reason he's one of the best punting stables of all time. Isn't
yes, exactly.
There you go.
Gerard,
he's a friend of the show and all that, but compare that with Sergeant Wilson, who clearly isn't asked what he's running on.
No. Basically, he says, "Oh, we run in France like that every day." I mean, what kind of bullshit's that? From
I'll give you some bullshit. Running a fucking Sayoni 3 times on slop.
Well, there you go. That's what.
But no, I just thought like Ryan Moore rode the inner all over the 2 days, and I don't know if you remember there was a race one night at Windsor. It was a listed race, and Oisin Murphy decided to go the far rail. And all the jockeys followed like sheep. And the only one that went up the near side rail was Ryan Moore. And like, I don't need to tell you what horse won the race.
Yeah.
But Ryan Moore doesn't get this wrong. And he rode the inner all week. So that was obviously the place you wanted to be.
I mean, it was astonishing. Over the 2 days. And do you know what was amazing? I'll tell you what was amazing Saturday. In the opener, was it the 10 furlong handicap, the Blue Trail race?
Yeah.
They stuck to the inside. Well, the winner and the second were sort of like, a bit off the rail, but towards the inside. What I started to belly laugh the next race when they had that mile sort of fillies race, and then D'Souza, who's got a nice sort of easy lead and easy hold on the front runner, decided to come middle, and then so literally I just bonkers. I generally think that whoever's like advising, I mean, do they give them instructions? I don't know, but so Ryan on Tuesday, for example, in the Oaks, and a lot of people said that was the worst ground. I don't think it was. I think for some reason they got in their heads the inside's no good. No good the inside. I didn't see many horses come up it all week, other than the Saturday when it was perfectly fine.
Well, the thing to maybe note about the Friday's racing is they put that rail out about 4 horse widths wide to save ground in the straight. Now, if you look at Epsom from a head-on position, that rail comes out to just where the camber sort of levels off. There is quite a marked camber, so where that rail was would be where any water that was draining would be heading towards. So I think that might be the thinking behind what they were doing. But
Gerard, I'm coming to you because, I need an Irish perspective here. There was big moaning last year, say at Kilbeggan, that they were moaning like hell at the state of the track. So
I think that was Philip Rotwell.
Yeah, saying it's like too quick. So it's like literally too quick. How do the Irish water, etc.? I mean, are they as rabid as the British? What?
Well, look, that'd be kind of beyond my remit. No, I wouldn't honestly know, but I mean, I don't think they're too far away from where the UK is in that, they want good ground. But if you remember during the year, Willie Mullins was very critical. He went out of his way to be critical of Leopardstown for the DRF meeting. He wouldn't run album photo at the DRF because he said it's not that the ground isn't right. And I think he said that at Tremor after album photo had won, because they were like, oh well, will you have another run before Cheltenham? He's like, well, I can't go there, the ground isn't right. So I do think so. They're definitely not as quick to water over here, or you definitely they're not as obsessed with it. But that's not to say that people like Willie Mullins aren't giving out about it. So how do you win when Willie Mullins is against you? Because you want his horses to run. So you know, he's almost putting a gun to Leopardstown's head and saying, you know, you better water, like.
I think that's it. I think the power, John, is it not, with the trainers in the.
Yeah, I mean, because nobody ever pulls them on it, you know. I mean, I'm sick to the back teeth of listening to the likes of Gosden saying, "Oh, we'll run there if the ground's safe." You know, define safe, John. You know, I mean, what is safe, or is it what suits your horse? You know, if you've got one good enough to run the Japan Cup, Mr. Gosden, he'll be going there whether it's rock fucking hard or not.
Yeah. No, it is. It's for me. It's a really worrying thing going forward for punters because.
But it is a kind of a vicious circle, though, isn't it? Because it is the trainers that are driving it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, if they're not going to run their horses, then the race course is under pressure. So, you know, I mean, what are they to do? I mean, they have to. I don't know. I mean, they have to try and appease the trainers to get these good horses to run at their track.
That's what a clerk of the course once told me. Actually, what you've just said. He literally said that. Well, if I don't produce good ground, that certain trainers and they aren't going to run. So
the trainers are fucking sheep anyway, aren't they?
I think so.
I mean,
They've all got it in their heads now that fast ground isn't safe. You know, and it's like I keep banging this drum. They have no way of knowing what's safe and what isn't because the stats aren't compiled properly.
No, but they'll argue that, well, this horse will break down or this horse will get sore.
Yeah, so don't run it, wait for soft ground.
Well, what was amusing about Sergeant Wilson?
Don't buy cripples.
Sergeant Wilson, David Menzies, was sort of like saying that this is all bullshit about watering. This is the same man that run wonderful tonight on road-like ground at the EBO meeting. And do you remember, John? We were there and we said, "What on earth? This will be a non-runner. This will be a non-runner. No chance is he running this on this. What's the point?" I mean, it's mental, isn't it? You know, the man that's like slagging it all, you know, saying, "Oh, what's wrong with all this watering?" You know, ran the horse that basically was his stable star and was sort of going to be outbound again or whatever. And no, he'll run it on and ruin it. so, you know, there we go. So like I said, maybe that's why he's like he is. I don't know, but
just one quick story. Who trains that All About? Is it All About You, Harry? Do you know that stair hurdle from a few years ago?
All About You.
I'm mixing up the name anyway, but this trainer anyway, he brings horses over to England or over to Ireland quite a bit, and he was giving out about the ground at Galway, and it was the only time the clerk of the course at Galway had to tell a trainer to fuck off because he was like, Galway, do you realise how much ground we're working with here? You know, they've nothing to work with, and they have to run 7 days flat and jumps, and this guy was doing the usual UK thing. Oh, it's a disgrace, blah blah blah. I won't run my horse, and he was just like, yeah, fuck off, don't care.
That's what we need.
He's never had to say that to any other trainer, but this trainer, his name's off the step in my mind. I just can't take.
Yeah, that's what we need. That's actually exactly what we need. Right, we're going to come to different subjects now because we've done the shenanigans that is British racing. Something, because we've got Gearoid on the show, obviously this is some of the extracts of the Star Sports interview, and some of the stuff I thought was like, I really agreed with Gearoid on what he said on certain things, and some of it I didn't, but some of it I did. And the one of the thing is like I touched on was self-doubt, Gearoid. Right, you know, when you're punting and this is it. There's nothing worse, is there, than like you going into a bad run, etc., etc. And I thought you covered that really well about like self-doubt and. Like
it was only last night I went to bed a broken man after the weekend. But I mean, you know, you get up today, you back a couple of winners, and you just get on with it. You know, it's that's just punting. I mean, it's just. I mean, my missus always says to me, she says, "I've absolutely no idea how you keep doing this yourself," but that's the game we're in. You know, it's a big boys game. Get on with it.
Absolutely. You know, great attitude. And I mean, I'm going to reveal a secret now. This is right. When I'm on bad runs, you know, I say hilarious things that if the producer recorded, you know, it'd be just like people just laugh their head off at me. It's like, you know when you keep getting chinned and every bet you have, this gets chinned, that goes 101, this goes 1.2.
You can see it coming as well.
Yeah, I've likened it to like some betting gods up there, and they've got the favourites in the like the favourites folder, and they click on it, and one time it's Lee Keys. I'll click on Lee Keys. Yeah, and then the pool that they're viewing you down on, and it's like yeah, let's laugh at this cunt. Let's laugh at him getting turned over again, and it just feels like that. And you just I mean, there's been days when I've had literally sub 6 or 7 sub 1.2 sub 1.1s get chinned, and you sat there going, I'm ready to go. I'm ready, I'm ready to nut the wall, and it literally is that. And I think that's the thing. That's what self-doubt in a way is a good thing, though, because I think that you also said about beating your chest on good runs. Yes, yeah, I'm a genius. This, that, and the other. We all do that. We all think on good runs we're invincible, and I think that's why it's good to have self-doubt.
There has been many a big tank, myself included, has been done in by thinking you have the game solved. And
yeah,
but look, it's like it's when you it's like when you're younger, okay, and you start going out and you start clubbing, you start drinking, and if you go on a cold run with women, like you go, oh God, am I ever going to get the ride again? And it's like anything else. You just need to have one ride. You just need to back one winner, and then it just you're fine again. But you just have to break the chain, isn't it?
Yeah, it literally is that.
You're always one winner away. You're just always one winner away from going on a good run.
I mean, how has it gone for you since leaving? The bookmaking world. Obviously, you worked as a, in the hierarchy of Ladbrokes, Paddy Power. So you've got a great grounding really into racing and what it's about. How's it gone? Since you've done that, has it got?
It went like at the start. It was like, oh God, like would I be able to do this? And like I remember once. I had the tank down, we'll say, like to a couple of grand or something, and I had applied for this job that I did not want to do. Like the missus was nearly crying, going, "Are we really going to have to leave Dublin or whatever?" And the game always throws you something. So this horse it was the last leg of a Peyton or Trixie or God knows what, and it had drifted from 16s out to 32 or 44 in the all weather, and it fucking wins. So you're just like, right, well, this is a sign I'm supposed to keep going here. So I had times like that. I had another time where again it was last leg. It was in Maidan. Basically, and I don't want to call out the international desk of shame in Paddy Power, but there used to be a guy working there, and if he didn't fancy a horse, he would just take it on. So he'd be above the machine, whatever. So it was really low hanging fruit. You'd look at odds, or you look at Betfair, right? What doesn't he fancy today? Great, that's my multiple for today, because he only needs to be wrong once, and you get the lot. So we had this trick running for a few quid, and I was watching it above in the apartment, and my partner was watching it like from the kitchen behind the door. So the horse wins anyway. So she just comes into me and says, "Does this mean we don't have to live in a cardboard box next week?" That's how close it gets. That's how
it
close
is. Look, I'm like you. I'm we're good at what we do, but I'm not a Patrick Veach. I'm not a I'm not at the top of the tree.
Your paydays come a long time apart. There can be a long time between drinks, but you just have to stay going. You have to stay going. And it'll turn. And like I said, it just takes one winner, and it can turn. But like we'll say the 3 or 4 years after I left was great, and then we had a daughter then, so like I had to calm down. I had to calm down a bit. So I'm just back grinding now, basically.
Yeah. What's it? I mean, is it as tricky getting on in Ireland as it is the UK?
It's way easier. I mean, it's way like some of the most boring stuff on Twitter is boys giving out about not being able to get on. I mean, like, God Almighty, like, number one, no one cares that you can't get on. Number two, like, well, just try fucking harder, or like people giving out about betting shop staff. I mean, my God, like that's why you can't get on, because you're an ignorant cunt, basically. Yeah. like going into bookies, think that you're entitled. You're entitled to get a better. No, go in, be nice to them, but problem is with most punters is they've got no personality, they've got no charm. They think that they're better than people, and God Almighty, like, just go into the shop and be nice to the girls, and God forbid they might lay you down.
They moan because they can't get on by clicking a button on their laptop in front of fucking Dickinson's Real Deal. So
this is it.
Can't get on.
There used to be like when I was working in Paddy Power, there was like 7,000 customers monitored as man bag. Like if you're walking into a bookies with a man bag, like chances are you're like help yourself, like
I mean, would you consider that, Gareth, that your networking skills are pretty good, and that's a massive help? I mean, in terms of like your Twitter account, people will say, "Oh, well, he's quite critical of certain people. It's not funny." And but like, do you think the Twitter accounts helped, as in like establishing yourself as obviously, you obviously do quite well out of it. So is a Twitter account help? Do you think?
Oh, it's a massive help, yeah, because it's like that because it's just you're visible to people. So if I go to meet someone, well, they kind of feel like they already know you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or they know something about you, so they're more willing to talk to you. Or they're more willing to tell you things. And as well, like people might criticize me about, oh, well, you don't post any bets, you don't do that. Well, that's why people tell me things, because I keep it to myself. One of the best advice you can give someone in punting is shut your mouth. Keep quiet.
Yeah, exactly that. You know yourself that sometimes you'll tell a certain person something, and then you've not done anything yourself, and then you'll literally watch odds checker or whatever, and it'll go 12, 10, 9, 8, and you think.
I mean, if you tell one person you're telling 10, and then if they're telling 10, they're telling it becomes 100. So, you have to keep things. You have to keep things tight if you want to be told stuff. You have to keep things tight. I mean, if you're doing the work yourself and you're happy to share the card, best of luck to you. Best of luck to you.
Shrewd, absolutely, totally shrewd. Right. So other subjects then in the game. How do you see doping, etc., across the sport? And some people on Twitter have said to me about I'm unfairly singling out Ireland, sometimes, but in general, UK, Ireland, I think across the world, I think the best trainers are the best medicators. Would you agree with that, Gearoid?
Not necessarily, no.
Go on.
I would. No, I don't. I don't have a massively strong opinion. I mean, look, I find it funny, like in a way, what's going on, because Jim Bull just come on, he's throwing a spanner in the works. I just find that I just find it funny that now it's kind of put racing on its toes a bit. But I mean, look, you can't unless you have evidence, it's hard to kind of say anything, isn't it? But I mean, the one that kind of annoyed me lately was that filly that improved, was it 30 pound or something, after coming over from the UK, and it's a nobody trainer, and you're looking at that and you're going, well, that's just wrong. There's something wrong there. So but you probably need more examples of that to nail it down. But I mean, I don't have any massive strong opinion.
Things like Ado McGuinness, maybe,
I mean, his stuff is documented. I mean, so there's not really. No. You don't really have you don't have to guess with him. I mean, it's on record. So, but I mean, in terms of the bigger trainers, I'd be shocked if any of them were at it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've said this before on the show that it's all about gaining an edge, the same as you do with punting. And if you can beat the system, i.e., if something is legal to give a horse, then and it beats the system, then I've got that's the nature of the beast. That's the same in athletics. That's the same in any sport. If you can gain an edge, if you give a footballer something and he can run another, 250 yards a game on average, and it's legal, then that's the way to go. But as I said, that's what I genuinely believe. I mean, having horses trained by, I would say, average trainers in my lifetime. You see some of the guys nowadays, and they produce some stuff that ordinary trainers can't compete with. But that's the view there.
Just one last thing on that. I just thought it was interesting. Look, I could be wide of the mark, but the fact that Coolmore are suing gain feed for the horses being withdrawn in France last year, they're not doing that if they've anything to hide, are they?
You wouldn't have thought so. It's interesting that they feel very aggrieved at that, but I mean, obviously, again,
I mean, that's like to me that's a big positive that they're willing to not just like if they had anything to hide, they'd surely just want to bury that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, no, that is a case. That is an interesting case. Why they do that.
Sorry, mate, can I just jump in and change the subject slightly? Can I ask Gearoid just a question based on your experience in bookmaking when you were working for the big guys and all your contacts? I mean, were there any trainers either in the UK or in Ireland that when they came on to have a bet, you knew that they're going to be absolutely dynamite? So were there any particular trainers that you thought that got it right so much more often?
There's one in Ireland. There's one in Ireland. He still bets with them, so I won't say who, but he's a smaller.
Tell me afterwards.
Yeah, but he's a smaller trainer. But I mean, if I said his name, you go, oh yeah, look, he'd be considered they'd be considered a punting yard, but they were very, very shrewd, shrewd. And I mean, they're doing nothing wrong. They're just backing our horses when they fancy them.
Sure.
But the best one is the opposite. So when I was in Ladbrokes, there was an account. It was let me think of his name. It was a Mr. D.K. Weld. So anytime he came on, right, I'm told that the office in Harrow would empty. Everyone would go to the Jacks to go out and get as much on as they could. And he was awful. His record was so bad. And it was a friend of mine told me, we'll say a few years later, that he used to put on bets for him on the course. And he's the worst punter in the world. It's just funny. And Paul Nicholls has the same. He's got the same reputation as a punter for being absolutely awful. I mean, Paul Nicholls is one of the great after-timers of all time.
Yeah.
Like if he's interviewed after winning a race,
I fancy that. Yeah.
This has been the plan. This has been the plan the whole time.
Yeah.
Something. Random went wrong the last day when all the punters ran at 6-4. But today was the day, and it's 12-1. He's terrible. But yeah, Well was terrible. And if I think of any more, I'll jump in.
Yeah, please. No, I'll be interested. Thank you.
There was. I've got one story because obviously I knew a lot of Betfair employees, and just for you, I see this. The great man. He never had a losing cricket bet.
I never saw him have a cricket bet. He was pretty good on NFL, but the funniest bet he ever had was, it's been a while now, but I think he had $250,000 on a hurling match once, which it was the final or whatever, and he was on the outsider and they won. So I used to joke that he obviously stopped the Kilkenny. But you just wouldn't know with him. You just wouldn't know. I mean, I'd love to know what he knew or what he thought he knew was giving him an edge that day. But you can be sure that he wasn't having a punt there. He knew something extra.
Yeah. It was a couple of Betfair lads that told me, and they said JP on cricket. It's just he didn't have many cricket bets at all, but when he did, it was and it was absolutely mustard. Now whether we know.
So I'm so far out of Ladbrokes now, I don't care anymore. But like, it used to be funny because they used to lay him to like lose 25,000 on class sixes at Fakenham. So it used to be absolutely hilarious. I mean, and you'd see McCoy ride these horses, and oh my God, he would absolutely throw everything at him. I mean, he'd be riding him with a circuit to go. Now I often wondered, was that so the in-running man could get a few quid on? Because they'd mysteriously come back on the bridle after the last, So there was some hilarious stuff. There was some hilarious stuff with him, yeah. But I mean, like if that was to happen now, there's no way you'd be able to see those bets. It was so much looser. I mean, I'm talking 2009, 2010. So that's 12 years ago. I mean, things were a lot looser there. Yeah. I mean, basically the guy cleaning the windows knew what JP was on. I mean, that just doesn't happen anymore.
Do you think that's where betting's gone now, where all the sharp money is
it's gone
disappearing from public?
It's gone dark.
And Gearoid, what do you think about? I mean, Tabor are they as sharp as they used to be, or
no, but like Michael Tabor is an old. You know what I mean? He's an elderly man. Like I'm not if I'm sure if you laid him, he'd absolutely skin you alive.
Yes. Because
he'll just like he'll find a way. Like he's at it long enough. He'll find a way to do you. But I mean, I suppose if you rein him in, he might punt with you a bit. But I mean, don't be under any illusion that if you give him enough rope, he won't hang you. Like
no, quite.
Yeah.
But they definitely don't have the same. You go back 10 years, I mean, their reputation was they bet when it wins.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
that's no longer the case now. It's no longer the case.
Sorry, I'm monopolising this a bit, but just for one thing, I mean, you saw the Patrick Veach conversation and the interview, and he was adamant that it's all opinion, etc. Do you buy that? Do you believe that he's betting purely on opinion? Because if so, he must bet a load of non-triers then, if it's purely on opinion. Or do you think he's just sort of smudging it a bit?
Well, do you know the funny thing now is that like the models factor in non-trying now.
Okay.
So I would definitely believe that. There was one other story actually where I heard that John Magner went into Aiden one day, and he gave him a lecture like, we need to do this, and this, and he came out and someone said to John, well, how do you think that went? He said, yeah. He listened, but he said not a word of it is he going to do. So, the idea that that the lads, as they're called, that they're calling all the shots. Yeah, they might be, but I mean, at the end of the day, Aiden does what he wants, really.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's why they've got, like, if you remember 10, 20 years ago, all their 2-year-olds would win first time out.
Yeah.
They were kind of a bit obsessed with horses being undefeated and that.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I mean, look at the profile of their horses now. They're beaten 5 times as 2-year-olds.
Yeah.
And then they're, so they've completely changed how they do things. Like, they're no longer a punting yard, is what I'm trying to say, really.
No, that's a good point. It's quite a very interesting point. I hadn't appreciated that the models that these guys devise factor in the non-triers, because when I listened to that, I thought, if you're not getting any help, then surely if you're having big chunky bets affecting the market, owners are going to take a pull and you're going to be on non-triers. So I hadn't appreciated that.
That's kind of a separate conversation, because it's like, you do wonder the merit of backing certain connections horses overnight, because you're making the horse less likely to try.
Yes, correct. Agree with that 100%. All these,
and I don't think people, like, I see a lot of punters there, I don't think they understand that dynamic of the market, is that you want to be on, but you want to be on when connections are on, or if they're that type of yard, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, it does, absolutely. If in a low grade race, I don't know, bet 365 are laying horses for pennies overnight, you're an owner. You think, I'm not going to pull.
Like, if I fancied a horse, we'll say in the green and gold, I would tell nobody that I'm backing it, and I mean nobody. Uh-huh. I would just bet it, and if it wins, it wins, and if it doesn't, well, whatever.
Yeah,
but
sure.
There's literally nothing to be gained by looking smart, being on the.
No.
There's a lot of truth in this, because there are certain owners, trainers, and connections that if it's 6-1 overnight, you will still make money backing it on the shows.
You'll make money
if it's off.
You'll make money betting it at SP if it's off.
Yes, exactly. So that's a kind of lesson to punters, that thinking, oh well, this is a plot job. They take the 6s overnight, but then they find it when it's 22s on the machine. It's like you've wasted a stake. It's that kind of thing. You may as well wait, because you can make money on the shows late on. Certain connections, it works definitely.
Yeah, no doubt. No, 100% agree.
Yeah. What a cracking show. I felt we could go on all night about this. It's some great stories, Gearoid. I think that's about it. Anything anyone wants to add?
One last thing. I have to get this off my chest, right? So,
go on.
So, not going to name the jockey, but there's a certain champion jockey. He's gone from the front line of Ukraine. What's he riding in the Derby? His 10th to follow this year. And just lately now, he's riding in some kids' show jumping in Norway or something. Like, is this guy ever going to take a pull and just get out of the news for a month or two?
Who's this? I've not read this.
O'Sheen Murphy. I mean,
is this O'Sheen? Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Would you ever just take a break? There was a brilliant tweet I saw actually just before I came on. It's from my friend Quavega, and it says sorry, where is it? But he basically said, Jesus, O'Sheen's band doesn't seem to cover much, does it? He's doing everything. He's doing everything else, but God, he needs to take a break, doesn't he?
He does. Yeah. He does really. Yeah. I mean, you do worry for his mind really after what went off. He's obviously, I don't know. Would a year's ban? I mean, is it in the interests of O'Sheen though? This year's ban, was it justified? Do we think?
Oh, geez, I don't know. But I mean, look, once you get the ban, surely you just like take 14 months, get away from the game. a month out, go on Nick Luck, maybe cry a little, and say how remorseful you are, and then you're back. Then you're back and you're a hero again. But I mean, the way he's doing it now, I think he's getting bad. People are kind of going, oh God, not again. Like what's he doing today? No one cares. Like.
Yeah. Fair point. Right, that's a suitable note to end because we're approaching the end of our time. And I cannot say it's been a fantastic show. Gearoid, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. And I'm sure you can come on again for some when you need to get stuff off your chest, etc. It won't be the end of our association. Just something to look forward to. We're back on Friday as normal. Also on Wednesday, we've got a decent pod. Comiscus is coming on with James Lovell to talk about the future of the on-course betting ring. So that'll be something interesting for you betting wallers, what we all think of the on-course betting market as it stands going forward. So that's all from me, John, Gearoid and Chris. I hope you've enjoyed it. Bye for now.
Right, the show's over, boys. Thank you very much.